Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Birthright podcast. My name is Taylor, and I'll be your soul sister on this journey into the real and raw conversations that bring us back to our inner wisdom and what I believe is our birthright to know. We're going to be exploring the body, relationships, spirituality, and just the lived experience of being a modern woman who wants to go back to remembering the ancient ways. And in today's episode, this feels especially relevant of thinking back to the ancient ways because we're going to be talking about the art of doing nothing. We live in a world where we're so inundated with options, with distractions, with technology, with phones, with pressure coming from externally and especially internally. And it's created this idea, it's created this belief that what we do is how we are valuable. And today I want to unwind that myth a little bit and share my personal experience going from high productivity achiever into today where it's kind of unclear and vague what it is that I do and not having an answer to that question. So if you've ever had someone ask that question, what do you do? And you've had that kind of tightness in your heart of like, is that really what you care about? Like what I do, or do you care about who I be? Then this episode is for you. Let's dive in. So when I graduated from college, I felt super money motivated and so ready to get into the corporate world. The idea of wearing a suit was actually exciting for me. I remember going to shop at the Loft and Express and got my blazers and my heels, and I was just ready to go get them. And for about 8 years after graduating, I was so deep in that world, very enmeshed in corporate America, back-to-back calendar meetings, working 50 to 60 hours per week, lots of metrics to be measured by. I knew exactly where I stood in the company because I was being measured against all of these different goalposts that I was like, okay, I hit that. Now I am promoted to a senior sales rep. Now I am promoted to an executive sales rep. I knew exactly who I was because it was all charted out. And that's one of the beautiful things about working in a traditional job is you kind of have that figured out. Like, what is it that I do? It's this and this, it's X, Y, and Z. I know exactly where I fit in. I know exactly what success looks like. I know exactly the things I should be doing and how I spend my time in order to achieve those things. It's all really written out for you. And there's a peace and an ease that comes with that, especially because our culture is so predominantly focused on what you do being how your value is assigned to you. So if you listened to the last episode, you heard that I just moved to a new town, which it's my first time moving somewhere new in a long time. And what is the first question that I get asked by most people? It's, what do you do? And I used to have such a pretty buttoned up answer for that. I'm a sales rep. I work for a software sales company. I work for a publicly traded company. And now when I get asked that question, I'm like, what direction do I take this? Because one, I do a lot of things, but I'm also really mostly focused right now on the art of doing nothing, which is very edgy for me as someone who was really just, again, so enmeshed, entrenched in the world of productivity and still am somewhat to this day. Our culture really rewards productivity. Our culture rewards status. Our culture rewards job titles and moving up the ladder in your career. But my focus and my intention now is more on who do I be? And that's really what I want to talk about today is what does it feel like to step out of that life of knowing exactly what people expect of me and knowing exactly how I should be spending my time into one where I'm unwinding all of that. The thing that life gave me was certainty, right? I knew who I was because I could point very cleanly to here's what I produced. So for me, stepping out of that certainty and into the unknown, like the open abyss of the unknown, where maybe from the outside looking in, maybe if you're my parents looking in, they're like, what are you doing? Seems kind of like you're doing nothing. Are you going to get a job? What's your plan? And the art of doing nothing, I will say, is a skill that I am actually working really hard to learn. I'm learning how to do nothing because my whole nervous system is so wrapped up in productivity that just sitting still and being with myself is uncomfortable. And we're constantly being inundated with dopamine hits from all of these distractions and just this instant gratification culture that we have. I think that the art of doing nothing is actually a very worthwhile use of time to learn in this day and age, which seems totally counterproductive, but I'm going to tell you why it's not. I actually was having this conversation with a mentor of mine last week where I told her about, I don't really know what to say when people ask what I do, because I'm at this point right now where I'm exploring a lot. I'm dancing around in some different ways of spending my time and really enjoying that. But there's still this guilt that sinks in. There's a guilt that comes from slow mornings and having absolutely nothing on my schedule, because I used to see the whole day completely mapped out, and that still lives within me that I should be doing something. And when people ask me, what do you do? That insecurity comes up a little bit. And she made a funny joke. She was like, well, do you tell them that you are communing with the trees and tending to a garden and taking care of beautiful animals? And it's just like, no, I don't. But that's a good point. I am actually doing those things. And there's really nothing small about any of that, about actually being brave enough to take a step back away from the constant doing to see what's actually there. Doing nothing isn't nothing. I'll say that again. Doing nothing is not nothing. It's actually a very brave act. It's your nervous system learning, maybe for the first time ever, that it's allowed to rest. When I do nothing, everything in my brain is wanting to fight against it. A lot of times I'll even masquerade around doing nothing by habit stacking and adding in podcasts and audiobooks. I'm going to make time to do nothing, but I'm going to journal during that time so I can feel like I did something. It's pretty hilarious how much our minds want to keep us safe and keep us relevant, keep us in that certainty that we are doing something, we are valuable here. And the crazy thing that I've realized is that stillness to me feels somewhat like a threat. And that is what I am working on unwinding. That my nervous system has been so programmed over years and years and years. I have this accountability checklist that I fill out every single day for some of these habits that I am bringing into my life right now and some new patterns that I'm establishing. And one of my columns says, do nothing. And out of all of my habits, that's the one that has the least amount of check marks in it for this past month, because it really is such a practice to say, I'm going to go sit in the grass and do absolutely nothing and just be with myself without any other stimulus. How many of us get the gift of that now? It's hard to even accept it as a gift because of that response in my nervous system that, oh God, I'm not valuable to society anymore. And since I've been here in Colorado, what I'm doing is building out skills that may not go on a resume, but it's feeding something much, much deeper within me, which these ideas and these callings for these new passions of mine, like belly dancing, dance in general, which I'm finally making time for, sitting down to do watercolor painting, reading a fiction book, just watching the birds and listening to the wind in the trees. This is a much different type of productivity that has only come to me in stillness. Even knowing that I'm interested in these other paths, that has only come to me when I'm sitting still. The breakthrough moments don't come from a stacked calendar, from running from meeting to meeting. The genius ideas don't come when you're scrolling on your phone in every moment of downtime that you have. I strongly believe that our greatness exists in the quiet. And we have been so conditioned that we need to work, that we need to be productive, that it has taken us away from that power that exists in the stillness and in the quiet. And not only that, but there's a deeper core wound underneath it of, am I still valuable if I produce nothing? It's a really big question to sit with. Can you find the value in your existence, irregardless of what you produce, of what ideas you have? Every force out there is telling us, especially as women, that we are here for our output as workers, as mothers, as creators, as anything. And as someone who was so wrapped up in that and is still struggling with it, I just want to bring this question to you of, what if your worth was never something that you had to earn? What does it even feel like to sit with that question in your body? For me, it's been a long journey of feeling that and believing that. And some days I still don't. Some days I choose productivity over pleasure and checking something off of my to-do list because that actually brings me an immense amount of pleasure. I'm also a Virgo and I just love getting shit done. And there's days like today where I was just sitting at my desk feeling totally lost, like not really clear in my mission, and feeling like, oh my God, I got to do something about this. But the answer is to do nothing. The answer is to get even more quiet. The answer is to commune with nature, to feel the sun on my skin, to activate my senses, and to come back into my body, into my sovereignty, into knowing my value here, and trusting that those moments of silence and stillness are actually the medicine. It's not figuring out what else to do or asking AI, what do I do now? Which I'm guilty of. I'm really working on weaning myself off of relying so heavily on AI, because as a entrepreneur, it felt really good. I'm like, oh, this thing is giving me things to do. This thing is giving me a structure. It's giving me a plan. And I'm really coming home into, what does Taylor want? What does Taylor need? And being at peace in the stillness. I won't pretend to have this all figured out, because I don't. But as the world continues to change and things get faster and faster and faster, I do believe that this skill, it's a skill to sit and do nothing, to be with yourself, even just to sit and not meditate, because that's also like, I'm going to sit and I'm going to do this. Like, can you just sit in the grass and let your gaze be soft and breathe? What might come through if you tried that? And I'll leave you guys with this. I'm just curious for you to think about, what does your version of doing nothing look like? And can you incorporate that into your calendar this week? It's okay to schedule do nothing time, because for me, honestly, I kind of have to do that, or else I will just get swept away with all of the other things that I want to do, which I want to learn a lot. I'm such a learner. I love learning new skills. I love being intellectually stimulated. And I have to make time for this, because my greatest ideas, my greatest love for myself, my greatest sense of relaxation and ease and peace in my nervous system has come from these moments that I've created to truly just be with myself. And I'm here to give you full permission to find out exactly what that looks like for you. The art of doing nothing, and trusting that you are just as valuable of a human being when you're doing nothing versus when you're producing XYZ. If this message resonated with you today, it would bring me so much joy to hear from you. Feel free to leave a comment or send me an email, or join my online women's community called Birthright, where we engage in discussions like this in a forum where everyone can give their input, and we're in this together, There's no one person that has it all figured out. We can all learn from each other, especially as the world continues to shift and change at an unprecedented pace. We have to be in this together, to band together, to have each other's back, and to support our other sisters who maybe are doing nothing right now. Like, cheer them on and let them know you see them, because it's hard work. It's actually really, really hard work. I loved sharing this with you all today, and I'm so excited to bring on some new guests over the next couple of weeks, making some really amazing connections here in Colorado, and we'll be covering a huge array of topics in the episodes to come. And a little tip to give you guys, instead of asking, "What do you do?" to someone, find a better question. Find a better question. My favorite question to ask people is, "What's lighting you up in your life right now?" Or, "Tell me one of your favorite things about yourself." That is so much more interesting than "What do you do?" So, as always, it's an honor to walk alongside you on this path. Thank you for listening. If you're here, I just know that you're a woman that is so devoted to her own greatness. And I just celebrate you in that. See you next time.